Sometimes you'll want to go where everybody knows your name. And that's exactly what Shelley Long had when she became a household name as Diane Chambers in Cheers. But then she left. And not without some intense emotional baggage and quite a few huge questions left unanswered. Until now.
I'm tired of your teeth and all the vermicelli in between.
So, why did Shelley Long leave Cheers? And what was Shelley's time like on the show?
I think it's stupid to jump into bed with somebody you're working with.
What would Cheers have looked like if she stayed? And how was she part of a huge risk for the show? Finally, where is Shelley today? Welcome, I am your host Nostalgic Nick, serving up these answers and much more. If you enjoy our video today, please give it a thumbs up to show your support, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a memory. But now, give some near beer to your favorite patron, and let's catch up with Shelley Long. How long was Shelley Long on Cheers? Sam Malone's staff almost looked pretty different before Diane even got the job at Cheers. The final casting decision came down to Lisa Eichhorn, Julia Duffy, and a surprisingly reluctant Shelley Long.
If you're trying to make me jealous, you can stop.
The casting team was all in for Shelley to come in to audition, but Long had it in her head she was just gonna be given the role, no questions asked. There were also 3 finalists to play Sam, and each of the 3 women were paired with one of the men. It just so happened Long was paired with Ted Danson, and the two did their thing for the producers and NBC execs. Of course, Ted and Shelley knocked it out of the park, and were everyone's favorite test pair. So began the start of Shelley's 5 beautiful years on Cheers, and her being a crucial part of a careful formula the showrunners concocted. You see, the very start of the show was centered around the will they, won't they of Sam and Diane. It was a hook that kept audiences coming for more, and it was one the show resolved shockingly quick. Why did Shelley Long quit Cheers? While Ted had a hard time playing the womanizing Sam because they were complete opposites, it's generally agreed Long's personality matched Diane's pretty closely, right down to the perfectionism and the fussing. This perfectionism would be the target of a lot of complaints from her co-stars on Cheers, and pretty much everything that followed. When asked about rumored feuds, Ted Danson said, quote, "I ain't gonna say anything bad about my partner. I mean, my wife and I have terrible arguments sometimes, and they're kind of our business."
Gobble, gobble.
Shelley leaned into these shared traits and basically did her own brand of method acting, letting Diane and Shelley become one. So, when Diane saw Sam kiss Carla, Shelley actually broke down into very real tears because seeing that would have caused very real pain for Diane. But there was no denying that Shelley Long was part of the Cheers success, even during its most risky plot move. Co-creator James Burrows summed it up saying, quote, "We did something that the critics thought would kill the show, which was we brought Sam and Diane together. They kept the formula fresh as much as they could after that, helped along by a policy where they tackle some serious topics, but also not go more than a page without some humor, usually physical comedy from Diane delivering a well-deserved slap or something similar. But very slowly, they ran out of things to do with Sam and Diane. Some ideas were to focus more on life at the apartment, and even throw kids into the mix. But this plot never made it off the ground because Shelley Long departed, Diane Chambers right along with her. Cheers writer Ken Levine thinks this might have been a blessing in disguise for Cheers, telling Hollywood Reporter, quote, "So had Shelley stayed with the show, I'm not sure that it would have lasted another 6 years. I think it might have petered out in another 2 or 3, not because she wasn't as equally great as she was in season 1, but it's like we, the writers, would be going, what else do we do?"
Oh, Sam, how much more evidence do you need that we were not made in heaven?
But it wasn't an easy choice for Long, who admitted, quote, "It was very hard to leave. It was a very difficult decision to make, very difficult. And even after I made it, it was difficult."
But how long can you drag this out? You're hurting me, but you're also hurting yourself with this.
But the fact of the matter is both she and Cheers were shifting gears to maximize their success. Cheers got a mid-show jump start, and Shelly, now a popular household name, wanted to capitalize on her fame and focus on a film career. And sure enough, she proved her acting chops in some great movies like The Money Pit opposite Tom Hanks, Outrageous Fortune, and Hello Again. All this might have been manageable, except for a big addition to her life, a newborn baby. How many times was Shelley Long married? While Diane had one of the most famous romances on television, Shelly had a bit of a bumpier road. Hard to imagine compared to Sam, I know.
I find older men stimulating.
But her first marriage to a guy named Ken Solomon lasted for only a few years in the 1970s. Things looked a bit brighter with husband number 2, a securities broker named Bruce Tyson, who she tied the knot with in 1981. Together they even started a family, and family would become important enough for Shelly that she dropped Cheers to have time for chasing movies and taking care of the family unit. The two stayed strong for 22 years, but they did split up in 2004. Even then, things seemed cordial enough, with Long and Bruce keeping up to date on how the other was doing. But there might have been some tension bubbling under the surface. A couple of outlets, including 9 News affiliated with NBC, said the same year she divorced Tyson, Shelly overdosed on drugs and had to be hospitalized. From here, it's anyone's guess as to why. News reports say that Shelly's friends say Long had been sad leading up to the OD because of the split, and this might have been a deliberate attempt to take her own life. But Shelly's agent insists it wasn't self-harm, and that Long had actually injured her back years prior and took the meds to help. When Tyson was approached at his office for comment, he was apparently in good spirits and sounded optimistic that Shelly would be okay. What does Shelley Long do now? Shelley Long got her wish and built a very solid film career, but she also kept delving into TV. She famously took up the mantle of Carol Brady in 1995's The Brady Bunch movie, a role she reprised for 2 sequels. She also made guest appearances on Frasier, and those appearances as Diane were enough for Long to get a nomination for a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Guest Actress. Talk about making a strong impression with a very short time. Of course, there's no forgetting the other time she played Diane, just in time for the Cheers finale. But it's always nice to see a return to old roots. Then of course she had a very memorable appearance in Boston Legal, before playing the zany ex-wife of Ed O'Neill's character on Modern Family. There she stoked up a lot of trouble for the Pritchett family.
I thought I could handle this. I'm so sorry.
And her character's ultimate fate actually marked one of the more serious and somber episodes in that sitcom's history. For all the tension that rose up between Shelly and the Cheers cast because of her perfectionism and nitpicking, Kelsey Grammer, her partner in rivalry, really wants Long to appear in the new Frasier reboot, which launched last fall on Paramount+. Grammer reflected on his and her deep connection through the series, saying, quote, "When I first got the role, the key to Frasier for me was that he loved her with his whole heart, that he loved with all of his being, and that actually defined who he is. So having her hop on board would, quote, put something to bed and end up with a nice thing between them. But not everybody has come back for the Frasier reboot. In some ways that makes sense, and in some ways it's disappointing. But it was especially sad for Cheers fans when several key cast members reunited for the Emmys not too long ago, in a big celebration of TV magic. But Long wasn't there. The next time we saw her, she was out quietly walking her dog, keeping to herself. But although she is keeping to herself and keeping quiet, Shelly is still involved in the industry. She was in The Cleaner and Give Me Pity, as well as appearing in the critically acclaimed ABC series Switched at Birth, and spreading some holiday cheer in Christmas in the Heartland. And she also does voice work for Milo Murphy's Law, And with 2 Golden Globes, a Primetime Emmy, and over double that in nominations, I'd say Shelley Long is doing alright. So, what did you think of the Sam and Diane plotline in Cheers? Do you think it ran its course? Did you prefer the Shelley Long years or the Kirstie Alley ones? Get in the comments and tell me all things Shelley Long with Cheers, and hey, tell me your favorite Shelley Long film. And yes, it should be Troop Beverly Hills. If you enjoyed our video today, be sure to tip your bartender with a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a new deep dive. But most importantly, from all of us here at Do You Remember, we want to thank you very much for watching.